Hello and welcome. In this final part of our France tour, at least for this time, we'll take you all the way to the medieval towns of Mortes and Carcassone, the cities within the castle walls, and then a trip to the prehistoric times of cave dwellings in Ezies and La Roque-Saint-Christophe. And finally, we'll round off this trip with a stroll within an ancient city of Sarlat. If you're ready, let's go. Following the winding roads for a few hours, we reach Mortes. In 1240, Tsar Louis decided to build a city close to his kingdom in order to have a direct access to the Mediterranean Sea. That ought to be here in Mortes, in an area of marshes, sand and water. 7 centuries later, the fortification still dominates the Camargue as one of the most well-preserved medieval French buildings. Today, Mortes looks to the Mediterranean for a harmonic fusion of the secrets of its past with the charms of its future. On the road again for a few hours, and here we are in Carcassone. Carcassone is probably the most visited medieval village in France. Nestled in the lush Languedoc region in the southwest of France, the entire old village of Carcassone is a castle. Within the walls, visitors stroll along the cobblestone streets, browsing shops selling medieval wares or nibbling on the classic peasant stew cassoulet at various cafes. Shops offer the typical touristy fare, but with a distinctly medieval flair. This city is one of France's top tourist destinations, drawing an average of 3 million visitors yearly. Some may describe it as a tourist trap, but it is still an enchanting and interesting place to visit. After a very long stretch of journey this time, we finally reached Dordogne, with Les Ezies du Taillac as our first destination. The Dordogne is split into 4 areas: the Périgord Vert, the Périgord Blanc, the Périgord Purple, and the Périgord Noir. Les Ezies du Taillac-Sirois lies in the Périgord Noir area. It lies on the banks of the river Viseres, a tributary of the river Dordogne. The surrounding area is highlighted with countless medieval castles, cave dwellings, churches and chapels. Les Ezies is a cozy little town with plenty of tourist facilities. There are lots of restaurants and little shops where you can find typical regional dishes as well as gift items. But most importantly, prehistory has left many traces here. Les Ezies is the first site where the Cro-Magnon was discovered, an ancestor of the Homo sapiens. The most important places to visit are the Cave Fond du Gaume and the Musée National de la Préhistoire. The museum contains one of the largest prehistoric collections available worldwide. In addition to presenting its collections to the general public, conserving humankind's heritage and supporting archaeological digs, the National Prehistoric Museum also hosts archaeologists, researchers and students from the world over, and collaborates with various foreign institutions. About 9 kilometers north of Les Ezies on the south bank of the Viseres River is a very scenic and attractive location. We found this large prehistoric settlement complex, which is the largest such settlement in Europe, La Roque-Saint-Christophe. There is an extensive series of caves that have been carved out of the soft limestone cliff, initially by the action of the river. The cliff is almost a kilometer in length and 80 meters high. Approximately 55,000 years ago, man first started to inhabit these natural caves. It was from the 6th to 16th century that the cliff also became developed as a village, with numerous buildings and fortifications backing onto the cliff. It seems likely that the village was occupied continuously during this entire period, until it was finally abandoned in 1588. There are numerous visual remnants of the dwellings that once covered this section of the cliff. There are also various reconstructions at the site, showing the dwellings as they would have been and the types of tools and winches used during construction. One can safely assume that many other French towns had streets as odd and picturesque and monuments as handsome, but modern times gradually destroyed these treasures from the past. Sarlat was miraculously saved by the so-called Malraux Law promulgated on August 4, 1962. The small medieval town centre with its 65 protected monuments and buildings served as a pilot site for the implementation of financing plans and restoration criteria. Often called just Sarlat, the town is actually twinned with its less famous neighbour and is often correctly called Sarlat-le-Canada, located just a few kilometres north of the river Dordogne. Sarlat, a beautiful, well-restored town of both medieval and Renaissance time, is a pleasure to visit, especially during the spring and autumn. If you can catch the early morning sunshine on the yellow sandstone buildings, so much the better. Walking on the cobble streets around the old town at Rue de la République, there is always something new to see around every corner. Frequently you will think yourself lost in the winding medieval streets, but don't worry, it's essentially a small town, and sooner or later you will emerge into the light and your path again. And that's all for this 3-part series of France tour. Join us again for more interesting places on our next trip somewhere with Sue's Travel Diaries. This is Sue for PMTV. Goodbye. Angels sing from up above. Everyday word seems to turn into love songs. Give your heart and soul to me, and life will always be loving.